All these bits that are missing, look.
Yeah, that's because I've got them all in my hand.
Oh,
they're not missing, they're not attached.
Two for the price of one.
G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, we're back with the part 2 review of this awesome drone. Well, that's what it's called. It's called the awesome TS195. I'll link it down below. If you haven't seen my part 1 review, go and check that out, because this thing comes in kit form if you want to put it together, get everything that's going to work. So go and watch that part 1 review. But there were some shortcomings with this frame. So the biggest one, the arms, look at them, like they didn't work in their last configuration, like I built it like you were supposed to. And I asked you guys, should we go a little bit crazy? Should we invert the arms so we're ending up with this sort of Frankenstein looking quad? I've got to admit, it looks pretty awesome. I'm wondering how it's going to feel. I'm going to flash some pictures on the screen, but if you look at those arms, I don't think I've actually seen a quadcopter like it. I really like the look of it, but I've got no idea how it's going to perform. So that's what this video is all about. We're going to take it out to the field, rip it around. I'm going to show you guys some HD footage. We'll hand it over to Grumpy Trev, see what he thinks about this awesome drone, and then we'll also, hopefully we'll get Crash Test Cal and we'll hit it with Speed Gun Sally and see just how fast we can go with this little thing. Anyway, enough rambling here in the studio. Let's cut out to the field and rip it around in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, out here in the field with the TS195, or the awesome quad. Look, I don't know how it's going to go because the performance, the motors on here, I'm not expecting too crazy top-notch, I guess, insanity speed, but the interesting part, you guys wanted it. We put the arms on upside down, so let's take it out, rip it around. I'll show you guys some HD footage, and we'll also hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks. And then we'll also hit it with Speed Gun Sally. All right, let's do it. Rightio, Trev, we're purposely handing it over to you before we actually do the flight video. So what do you think of it in its current stage? Because we don't want to corrupt you with you seeing me fly it around. What do you reckon of this right now before we fly it?
Well, it's ugly. Has this thing got a name?
Yeah, it's the TS195 Awesome Quad.
It's called Awesome?
Yep.
Well, we'll have to have a look at one of those things that's not carbon.
You don't like it in its current form? You don't think that looks cool?
That looks so ugly, it's not funny.
I like it.
If you caught a fish like that, you'd throw it back.
Alright, well, lucky we don't buy our quads for looks then, Trevor.
I hope it can fly. I really hope this thing can fly because it's got nothing else going for it.
What do you think about what we've done to the arms? Do you think that's going to make it some strange impact on its flight performance?
That's already strange, wouldn't matter what you did to it.
Alright.
This has really come out wrong.
Okay, let's take it out, let's fly it around. I'm going to fly it, then we'll hand it over to you and see what you think.
Looks like it had those instructions you get that are in Chingley.
It did?
Yeah, that's well, it looks like that.
Alright. We actually had to do it because the arms, when they're in the other way, they didn't actually fit. This part was cutting the wires, so we had to flip them upside down. So the instructions didn't quite work, so we just sort of went along with it by ourselves.
Yeah, well, let's hope it can fly.
Alright, let's see what it does. You might be surprised, who knows? Alrighty, here we go. Now look, there's going to be a few things we're going to talk about. So that's its max punch out, so its speed isn't really anything, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Its performance was a little bit lackluster, but the first thing, it's kind of like a really badly tuned beast, like a relic from the past. This thing reminds me of flying around like my ZMR back in the day before Betaflight really had a solid tune. And look, it might be a little bit unfair to say that because we did build this frame like it wasn't supposed to, but look, that's what you guys wanted. But the flight characteristics, it was really all over the place. So it was very, very, I guess, uncontrollable. You can see all that wobble in there. It was a super windy day, but overall, look, trying to fly this thing in a straight line, it was like battling a beast the whole time. So look, if we talk about its performance, it was, I would say, maybe like a 4 out of 10. It felt very, very average, and I definitely think for the price you can get a lot better motors out there. Even the cheap ones, some of the much cheaper motors still go better than these bad boys. So look, it felt very, very lackluster overall, and trying to fly around, it really was like I was battling it the whole time. So you can see here, look, we're trying to hit these gates, and look, these gates, massive shout out to the boys who were there, because I actually left my gates in the car, so good one, Stu, but luckily there was already some gates there when I turned up. They are a little bit smaller and maybe a little bit more difficult to hit, but I still had almost zero confidence with doing this. It was very on the throttle, like, I guess, very floaty as well. Just overall really, really difficult to fly around. So look, I really can't recommend this one to anyone or whatsoever, and I think there's some much better options out there, like the B-Fight or something like that. I'll link that at the end of this video. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well. Now in a moment, we're going to see just what happened. You know, look, this thing, we know it's not solid carbon fiber, it's like a composite, and we hit a little bit of a tree in a moment. So here it looks like I had some okay pace, but I really had to fight the beast the whole way around. But yeah, we hit a tree in a little bit, and you'll see why no carbon fiber really can make for a bad day. So right here, that straight into that tree, and it didn't end well.
Well, Stu,
Yep.
I think you hit this tree.
I did.
And a bit went that way, another bit went that way. Here's the...
Okay, what do you got there? What's that?
I did say it looked like a piece of Well, there's half the quad.
Is it broken? What's going on? Yep,
yeah,
that snapped off that bottom bit.
That's broken.
Yep.
Yep. Hang on. Props survive, so they're good props.
Yep.
The quad here's another bit.
Can you unplug that battery before we burst that into flames?
Those with. Yes. Got our own. Probably we should leave it there. Looks like they're going to burn this.
Oh, here's my receiver. Okay. Trevor, what have I done? What do you reckon?
Hey, I did not even get a chance to fly this.
Okay.
And I'm pretty happy about that because it's got a good antenna.
Yeah, I don't think that's not the antenna that came with it. I just changed that when I was coming out. Yeah.
Well, there's no positives.
Well, there's a positive wire.
Look, I did watch the review when Stu was flying.
Oh, that arm's broken. Look, you can see right there.
It's broken.
Let's zoom in on that bad boy. Show us what we got. Can you
just come right out of the bottom plate?
Yep. It's not solid carbon. I give that a grumpy Trev rating out of 10. What do you think for value?
Value? I give it a 0 for value.
Okay. Well, it's an expensive one flight, isn't it?
Yeah, that was one flight.
Yep. And what about a performance? You didn't really get to fly it.
Oh, no, I didn't. Look, I did.
I'm going to tell you, I felt like that was pretty lackluster, about a 4 for performance.
All these bits that are missing, look.
Yeah, that's because I've got them all in my hand.
Oh,
they're not missing, they're not attached.
2 for the price of 1.
So what are your final thoughts on this? You didn't get to fly it, but...
I didn't get to fly it. I'm probably pretty happy about that because what a piece of this. Look, it doesn't even rate a grumpy rating. I mean,
all right.
I give it a 0, didn't I? I'll give it a 1 for... It didn't look too bad until the tree. Oh, you didn't have the tree avoidance system on, Stu?
No, I forgot to turn that on.
Yeah, it did land in a bonfire, so we could have just left it there and lit it.
So what about the bee fight or this one? You remember the bee fight? We hit a tree. You hit a tree,
yeah,
and now I hit a tree with this one. This one hasn't come off so well.
What did it win so well? It's in bits.
Yeah, well, okay, terribly, and all the bee fight. Were you a fan of the bee fight?
The bee fight is shit on.
And what about this one? Not a fan.
This is a piece of shit.
You said that a lot. That's a lot of editing work. All right, thanks, Trev. I think we're just going to cut this one there. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my part 2 review of the TS195. The awesome, I should say, the quote in there. Quote, awesome TS195. And overall, this thing was a massive letdown. Look, I know Trevor wasn't a fan at all, and he definitely didn't even like how it looked. I thought that was something it had going for it. I did like, you know, how sort of cool and trendy this looked. I thought it looked pretty cool, but its flight characteristics were a letdown. It definitely felt very, very lackluster with no power whatsoever, so these motors definitely felt average. But the worst part, I mean, that's pretty expensive if you're going to get something like this and it's going to crash and it's going to break on the first time. So look, I definitely think the interesting part in here, the arms held up even though they're not carbon fiber, but these smaller, thinner plates, they got absolutely annihilated. So a bit of a shame. And if anything's going to need to be carbon, it definitely needs an upgrade. So this quad has quite a lot of work to do. Now, the crazy part is, I would say, don't get one of these. If you're thinking about getting one of these, even though it does come in a kit form and you might be looking at building, I think it's going to be a total waste of money getting one of these bad boys. You're much better off getting something like this. You know, this is the B-Fight 210. Trevor smashed this one into a tree. So this is the one we were sort of joking about that this time I smashed into a tree. And this one held up fine. I've flown this one around a ton and it's an absolute beast. I'll link this one down below. And I think it's going to be much better than the TS195 because look, you guys can see one flight, its flight characteristics were a letdown. One flight, it's broken. And that's not really good enough. You know, back in the day, quads used to break a lot more and, you know, it was kind of maybe the standard, but today, definitely, we've moved on and I think this thing has some serious work to do for an upgrade. I would just say, go out and get that B-Fight instead. Anyway, that was a bit of a ramble actually, but hopefully you guys liked that. Subscribe for more FPV related content And as always, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.